for joining us with another episode of Ask Stacy and Amanda on Facebook Live with the Bank of North Dakota. We are live every Tuesday, most of the time at 2:30 with a variety of topics. So make sure you give us a like, follow us, turn on those live notifications, and if you haven't heard, we're on Instagram now. So make sure you head on over to Instagram and give us a follow over there. We might have some cool contests over there. I know we had some last week in regards to state fair stuff. So make sure you like us on Instagram as well as Facebook. And don't forget, ask us a question, shoot us a direct message, and we will get back to you every single time that we're live, or you leave us a comment or something. So today we are talking entrepreneurship here in North Dakota, and I have Marlo Anderson, who I was going to say is from one thing, but he's actually from a lot of different things. So Marlo, can you tell us a little bit about everything that you do? 30,000 foot view.
Well, you don't have enough time for all of that.
We don't have enough time for all of it, but his big projects right now are.
Yes, so National Day Calendar. Most people know me as the founder of National Day Calendar. We have Package, which is just rolling out in a couple of weeks. That will be like Lyft and Uber for packages, but moving packages from town to town. So we're very excited about that. We have a company called Zubio, which maybe you don't know anything about.
I have no idea.
We take videotape and digitize it. So like your parents' wedding videos and things like that, digitize it. And then it serves it like Netflix to your TV. So you don't have to worry about having it on DVD or a jump drive or on some storage. It just plays it on any of your devices. And of course, we still have our computer shop here in Mandan as well. So we do all of that,
So all of these, your headquarters is here in Mandan, kind of on the west side of Main Street. So, talking entrepreneurship in North Dakota, in our conversation here, you've been an entrepreneur, it sounds like, most of your life in some capacity. So, since we're talking about two high school kids, college kids, about college and career. When you were in high school, what did you think that you wanted to be when you grow up, or what you wanted to do?
Well, I had a scholarship to Brown Institute, which is a broadcasting school in Minneapolis. So that was probably my aspiration, was to get into broadcasting. Didn't go in that direction. It's kind of funny that I'm back in that space now, 30 years later. But originally that was my intention. We had been talking about what I had an aspiring career in restaurant management, as I said, basically a night manager at a fast food joint up in Minot, North Dakota. But it's a great place to start. I learned a lot there, and the thing I think that I learned the most about being there is it doesn't matter what you do the best at what you have, right? You should always be the best, because you never know. I mean, if you're asking somebody, do you want fries with that? You just don't know who that person is that you're asking, and those where your opportunities lie is in that relationship that you make. And I can't tell you how many times I've asked people to work for me simply because I enjoyed the banter that I've had with somebody, or the amazing service that they've given me at a restaurant or what have you. So always be the best at what you're doing.
I worked at Subway when I was in high school. I made the best sandwiches ever. And I mean, you learn a lot of skills in those jobs, how to interact with people, how to, just how to work in general.
It's so important. It really is.
So starting off, in your first job, and then where did you go from there?
So I actually went to work for World Book Encyclopedia, which maybe most people probably don't even know what that is anymore, but it was a great job. I grew up with World Book, so this was like a dream job for me. And went out and worked with families and schools and stuff for a few years until I moved to the Mandan area, and stayed with them. They didn't have I loved the company. They didn't have vision though, and at the time computers were starting to come out, and I was huge into technology even at that time. And they didn't understand that they needed to move those to like CD-ROM, which again most people don't understand. But at that time, that was a big technology that was coming out. They had talked about that they had been through every other fad and survived. We're talking the fads like radio, talking pictures. They went through all of this stuff with me, and they said, we'll be fine. And I'm like, I don't think so. So I left and started my own company at that time. So this is back in 1989, so almost 30 years ago now. Long time ago.
Yeah, definitely. So going back to, you saw a need and then, they weren't coming along, so
Yeah.
you left and did your own thing.
Yeah.
And that, I think, really speaks to your spirit and the entrepreneurial spirit in general. And that's what entrepreneurs do. They look out, they see a need, they find a way to fill it, they have an idea, and they go in and execute. So let's talk about that for a little bit.
Okay.
What, as far as like young people who, maybe they want to be entrepreneurs, maybe, they just haven't thought about it, but they have this good idea. What should they do about it? Like, what advice do you have for students in those, or anybody really in those situations? I guess you don't have to be 20 years old to become an entrepreneur and
You
have
can
an
be 10.
idea. Yeah.
You can be 8.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that stops anybody from being an entrepreneur nowadays, and that's the thing that's wonderful about the time that we live in. We've never had as many opportunities to be an entrepreneur as we do right now, ever. There's so much in the technology space that hasn't even been thought about yet. I know I pick on Uber and Lyft a little bit when I talk to people, but those companies didn't even exist 5 years ago,
Yeah.
right? Uber is estimated worth of $50 billion in just 5 years. That's insane. There wasn't a smartphone 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And now there's over 2 million apps on our smartphones. And all of those people, all of those apps were dreamed up by somebody. 2 million of them in 10 years. You think about that. And who knows where we're going to. I mean, we have autonomous cars, flying cars coming out. We have 3D printers, robots, all of this stuff is coming out. There's just so many opportunities that avail themselves. You might be thinking that, my hobby isn't worth, that not enough people in the world love what this hobby is. Well, I could say the same thing about National Day Calendar. That was my hobby, right? I would blog about these national days, not even knowing that we would become the biggest trending topic of all time on social media. But that's what it's turned into. And that was just a little hobby that I had that I've turned into, kind of a cool little company.
Yeah,
So.
and I mean that kind of stuff. You'd go and do your own thing, and then all of a sudden it snowballs and snowballs and snowballs, and then it's a thing. Like, you're planning events around these national, days, which is.
And now the whole country
so cool.
does.
Yeah.
I mean, like we were talking earlier, tomorrow's National Hot Dog Day, and there will be millions and millions of people across this country that'll go and have a hot dog tomorrow simply because it's Hot Dog Day. So yeah, it's cool stuff.
I have a friend who's all about National Donut Day. So hi, Alex. I know she always snaps me, or it's a big deal in our friend group, National Donut Day.
Cool.
So, and I mean, I've lived in North Dakota now for only 6 years, but I had, up until like our conversation started like 20 minutes ago, I had no idea that operated in the town that I'm living in. So that's just really cool. These like little discoveries. You just don't even know it's in your own community, in your own state.
Yeah.
So let's talk about package a little bit, just because, I mean, that's rolling out here pretty quick.
About 2 weeks,
so that's basically like Lyft and Uber for packages.
Yes.
So, how does that work a little?
Well, I can go back to the kind of the inception idea. I mean, people would always ask me, because I travel all the time, and you probably had this happen too.
Oh, I travel all the time too.
You're going home or something, and they're like, "Oh, you're going through mine. Could you drop this off for somebody or whatever?" And you're like, and one day it just occurred to me when somebody asked me this. I'm like, "Why isn't there an app for this?" So I started digging around, and there wasn't an app, and it's complicated because there's actually, like Lyft and Uber, there's actually one more layer of complexity in there, but it's very simple to use. You will just drop your package off at a 24/7 convenience store, and of our choosing in your particular town. And then somebody like you will come along saying, let's say you're going from Bismarck to Fargo, and I'm shipping it to Fargo, from Fargo. You, as a driver, will pick it up.
If you hear that banging, if that's your computer, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. Their office facing it. They're just like, nope.
We got a little remodeling going on here right now, so no big deal. Yeah. But we have, so then you'll pick it up on the other side, and drop it off, I should say, on the other side, and then the person who's accepting it will get a text or an email saying, hey, my package is at the 7-Eleven or whatever, and that's all there is to it. It's going to cost $10 for you to ship a package, and a lot of times we'll be there in the same day.
Oh, that's really nice.
It's pretty amazing, yeah. So when I forget my mom's birthday next time at 2 o'clock in the morning, it's off to the superstore to pick up a gift and take it over and send it packaged. So
that's
what I'm
great.
gonna do.
So in Bismarck we have the Idea Center. I know Fargo has the incubator at NDSU, and I'm sure Grand Forks, Williston, some of those bigger communities probably have similar things. Are those good places for young entrepreneurs to pop over and kind of get a feeler for?
Yeah, any entrepreneur actually. So,
okay, any entrepreneur.
I guess if you're a new entrepreneur, you're a young entrepreneur at that point, right? So yes, absolutely. I've used those services quite often. The Idea Center is fantastic. Been fantastic for me as a sounding board for ideas. In fact, the name for Package, I won't even tell you what the old name was for that, but they actually changed my thinking a little bit about renaming that app. So they have great services, probably finding some great funding like at the Bank of North Dakota. So there's all kinds of, I gotta go check them out.
Right.
But there's all kinds of great resources out there. And it's nice to have that impartial person to listen to your story, to listen to your idea, because like we were talking about a little bit earlier, sometimes a lot of people in your family and your friends will go say, just go for it, right?
And that's the best advice they can give.
And that's the advice I'll give you too. So, but then you'll have some of those people who are very pessimistic and maybe don't want you to, get a little ahead in life or whatever, or accelerate beyond where they're at or whatever. So it's great to have that impartial look at your idea for a business, and they might just give you just a little bit of a different direction that becomes very successful for you then.
Yes.
So
yeah. So what advice do you have? I'm not going to say young entrepreneur. I'm just going to say entrepreneurs in general, because you can, any age.
I know people at 80 that have started a company. So yeah.
So what advice do you have for any entrepreneur out there who is thinking about, maybe, doing an entrepreneurial venture? What advice do you have for them?
Well, the first thing I would actually say is go for it. So, but do some due diligence. You have resource right at your fingertips. Hop on the computer, do some research online, see what else is out there. If you have an idea that's similar to somebody else's, maybe you can do it a little bit better, right? But you can find all this stuff out so easily nowadays. Unlike when I started my entrepreneurial journey, you didn't have any of this. It was all just guessing all the time. You have all that at your fingertips, and you can find out if somebody is successful in a space. That means that you can probably be successful as well. If they're not so successful, but you have a little different approach to it, means you can probably be successful that way. There's just so many opportunities out there, and so that's what I would do. I would bounce it off a few people. If it's something that you need to be a little guarded with, create an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, so that you can visit openly with people. Talk to your banker maybe. Talk to a few trusted associates and see what they think about the idea. The crazy thing is that even if you're making a product, you don't need the crazy amount of money anymore either, right? 3D printers have changed everything. To prototype something doesn't take $50,000 or $100,000 anymore. You get it done for $1,000, or buy your own 3D printer. I just built one for $400.
Oh yeah.
And then you can do the stuff on your own. There's just so many ways that you can, if you have a passion for it, you can figure it out. And that's a great
during
thing.
this whole conversation, you are just giving me the best segues for my next question. Like, I don't even have to try. It's almost like he does this, like for a job or something, right? Speaking of, finding a way to try, I think it's important and I'm going to go back specifically to high school and college students, not thinking that your path out of high school is so linear. Like, it's not, okay, I'm going to graduate, and then I'm going to go to college, and then I'm going to get a job in what I went to college for, and all of that. My path definitely wasn't like that, and I think very few people that I know have had, just that, steady upward trajectory. It's always been here, and then down here, and, just a lot of different places.
Right.
So
I talk a lot about, I actually do a lot of talks about the future. I'm very involved in autonomous vehicle development and drones and that type of thing. And I am the last generation that will actually graduate from college and have a 40-year career. Okay, last generation. From this point forward, you're probably going to have 10 to 15-year careers at the most. So even if you work for somebody, and I'll just go right back to the smartphone and Uber and Lyft, not even companies 5 years ago, not even a device 10 years ago, right? What does 10 years from now look like? We probably won't even will carry some form of a cell phone, but it's probably not going to be even close to what we have today, right? So things are evolving so fast. So you just have to be in that mindset of don't even worry about, if trying to succeed in something for 40 years anymore. You can, but especially entrepreneurial wise, I mean, that's where I think you have the path of probably going 40 years. But even there, you have to be so fluid, and just be able to make decisions on that. But your life has to be that way too. So you're right. I mean, you have to be able to make that transition. And I hate to tell young people that maybe 4 or 6 years of school is not a great thing right now. If you're going into accounting, for example, don't go into accounting. I'm just telling you, because 93% of accountants will lose their job in the next 10 years. It's a crazy thing because artificial intelligence is going to be taking that over. So what does that tell you? It means you should be going into artificial intelligence, and if you like numbers, then you specialize in AI with accounting, right? That's the space that you want to go into. So
I mean, for students, I guess, looking ahead, if you are going to college, think, in the future.
You really need to be thinking about, exactly.
Not like I'm going to graduate in 4 years and get a job in this predetermined thing.
That's correct.
Like 10 years down the line, what that career path could be.
Right.
So.
The schooling that you should take nowadays is about, being able to think through situations, solutions, those type of things. It shouldn't be so much about, unless you're becoming a doctor or anything very highly specialized like that. Of course, I want my doctor to have 8 or 10 years of school.
Absolutely.
Just saying, right?
Yes.
So if you're going in that direction, please disregard everything we just said. But if you're moving into an accounting job or computer science or whatever, just know that your career path is probably going to change 3 or 4 times over your lifetime, and just accept that for what it is, and
always keep learning.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
And go along for the ride. Enjoy the ride. So yeah.
Yeah, awesome. All right, well, Marlo, that was wonderful.
Great.
I don't think I don't see any questions, but you guys, if you have any questions about anything that I talked about with Marlo here today, if you have questions about entrepreneurialism or anything, leave us a comment below. Is National Day Calendar on Facebook and social media and all
Absolutely.
of that? Okay, perfect. I am going to find it and link it in the comments below so people can find it. That'll be really cool. Because I didn't realize all of this was in Bismarck. So awesome. All right. Well, thanks. We will be live. I will be live again 2:30 next Tuesday as well. We're going to be talking to our interns again, Emily and Mallory, who you haven't met yet. So we'll be with them next Tuesday, and we'll see you next week.